Guys, welcome back to my channel. I have the most exciting video for you today. I have been so pumped to make this video. I've actually been waiting to do this for years. Sony has announced the a7s III, and I thought I'd start off by showing you some clips I've shot on it the last couple of days.
Those lips like Aphrodite, and she's not easily excited. She like to talk during a movie. She like wasabi on her sushi. Hands down, my mind's made up, you're the best I ever had. Hands down, it feels so good when I'm a sense trapped. Hands down, I'm not one for getting too attached. Hands down, but my mind's made up, you're the best I ever had.
Before I get into this video, I just want to say a serious note. We've been out and about shooting some amazing B-roll, some cinematic footage for this video, really testing this camera out. But also, I just want to remind you, we are still in a global pandemic. And here in America, I think the total confirmed cases is 4 million people now. Yesterday alone, there was like 55,000 new cases. So if you're going outside, if you're going to be with people, which, you know, you need to avoid groups of people anyway, please wear a mask. Whenever I've been shooting outside, whenever possible, I've been wearing a mask. It's my new mask. What do you think? Super easy, guys. It's mildly inconvenient, but this could literally save lives. So I just want to remind you, if you're out and about with other people, just put your mask on. Right, let's dive in. As a lot of you know, I am an ambassador for Sony, so I'm going to try and be as impartial as possible when reviewing this camera. If there's anything that's been a problem for me or any issues, I'm going to tell you guys, but so far there's really not many negative things about it. I'm going to go through all the features, I'm going to be as thorough as possible, and hopefully throughout this video you'll see some of the amazing capability and footage of the video. I just want to say as well, if you're watching on YouTube, please select 4K. So you're watching this video ideally on a computer, so you can really see the clarity and the detail of the 4K footage I'm going to be showing you guys. So let's dive in. Yeah, first of all, game changer, flip out screen. A lot of you may have seen the ZV-1 point and shoot that got released a couple of months ago. It's the same kind of design, it's flip out screen. This screen actually is touchscreen as well. So for anyone vlogging, this is just unbelievable. So in terms of the specs of the camera, it shoots 4K up to 120 frames a second. It also does 240 frames at 1080. The quality of footage is next level. It's 10-bit, shoots 422, up to 600 megabits bit rate. The other amazing thing is, guys, this has no record limit. All the other Sony Alpha cameras have stopped around 29 minutes. If you're filming long videos or video podcasts, you have to stop and start it, but this camera has no record limit. So again, an amazing improvement. It's something people have been asking for, and I'm a massive fan. I did ask Sony why they hadn't gone with an 8K camera this time, and they had a valid point that firstly, it's a bit of a gimmick right now. Not many people can even view 8K footage. Unless you're going to use the 8K footage to crop in, you could do that. But I've never been able to watch 8K footage unless you're in a massive movie theater. Like, no, I don't know anyone with an 8K TV. So for now, like 4K is fine for me. The other amazing thing is, a lot of the old Alpha cameras, Sony Alpha cameras, have overheated for me when I'm filming long interviews. And this camera has an amazing new design to stop it overheating. It's like got this whole internal engineering, like heat sink, like dissipator or whatever. I don't know what they call it, but it basically means, and they can guarantee shooting of up to an hour, 4K at 60 frames a second. And they actually told me as well, like some of the Sony team, that they tested it unofficially and were shooting 120 frames for like 2 hours or something. So yeah, I've had no overheating issues at all. One of the other reasons Sony didn't go for an 8K camera was you have to basically sacrifice low light if you want to go to 8K. And with a full frame sensor, there's only a certain amount of size. So this is a 12 megapixel still camera, which isn't a lot for a still camera. But what that means is there's only 12 million pixels on that same size sensor, on that full frame sensor. So each pixel is much bigger than a camera which has got like a 45 megapixel sensor, like the like some of the A7R series. They are like mainly photography cameras, but what it means is there's a lot less space in that each pixel for the light to come in. So that, combined with this new back illuminated sensor technology, means that the low light on the A7S III is twice as good as the A7S II. So there is literally definitely not a consumer camera that even comes close. And I think this competes with a lot of cinema cameras and pro cameras personally. Check out some of this unbelievable slow-mo, low-light footage we've been shooting over the last couple of days. I'm gonna pull out the A7S II. As you know, guys, I've been shooting on this for almost 5 years. This is definitely one of my favorite cameras, but there are some faults with it, or flaws, or major improvements that were needed, all of which I can tell have been improved. So the major problem when shooting slow-mo, firstly, you could only shoot 1080, 120 frames a second, and it was a huge crop. It was like almost like a 50% crop. So if you were shooting, whatever lens you were shooting at, it basically doubled the length of that lens. You couldn't really shoot wide slow-mo unless you had like a fisheye on. And that's always been a struggle for me. But like I said, like this has no crop when it's shooting slow-mo, and it's double the frame rate in 1080. So 240, 120 at 4K, still barely any crop. I think the only crop that there is to do with the stabilization. So it has 5-axis inbuilt optical stabilization in the camera. And I think on the highest stabilization mode, it does crop in maybe like 13%. Or it's not a big crop, but if you turn all the stabilization off, I don't even think it crops in, which is incredible. Battery life's a big one, guys. So the A7S II used these old, smaller batteries, the NP FW50s. The A7S III uses these bigger batteries, which I think these have been used in the A9, the A7 III, and the A7R3 and A7R4. I think that's the newer alphas, basically. So these are the NP FZ100 batteries. So anyway, just to let you know, these, if you haven't used these newer batteries, these are like, I want to say like 4 times more battery life in a battery. So whereas usually if I was shooting on the A7S II, I'd take like 4 of these out with me for the day, 5 maybe. I've pretty much been able to get an entire day shot on one battery. Maybe get a second battery just for good luck. But battery's life's incredible. The Optical Viewfinder, is that what it's called? Digital viewfinder, electronic viewfinder. The electronic viewfinder is a game changer. Like this is, I think, 9 million pixels. It's so incredibly sharp for a digital viewfinder. It's like no one else rivals it in the world of cameras. I think the a7s II, it was like a 1 million pixel electronic viewfinder. This is 9 times higher resolution. So just being able to watch like 4K footage on such a tiny little viewfinder is unbelievable as well. That's been incredible being able to show my friends, and we were all like, what the heck? The other thing I've noticed whilst filming with this camera is the autofocus and the tracking has been so fast. There's a bunch of settings you can change to how quickly it ramps with the focus, but I literally was like filming here. Actually, let me do it here so you can actually see how quickly it's doing this. Boom, boom. Look how fast that is pulling focus. Isn't that incredible? So basically, the a7s II was notoriously bad. Actually, I'm gonna do a direct comparison. This is the a7s II trying to pull focus in the same way. I don't think it's been. I can't actually check because it hasn't got a flip screen, but compare it. One of the main reasons why the focus is so bad on the a7s II was that it's just using contrast detection. The a7s III is using contrast and phase detection. It's got 759 points of phase detection, and as you saw, that is just rapid, quick autofocusing. Also, you can track things, touchscreen. I've just been super impressed, even in low light, being able to it immediately tracks onto things. Amazing autofocus in low light. Huge improvement. Yeah, for vloggers, you've got that incredible autofocus now and the flip screen. Game changer. So going back to the camera body, there's been a few changes to the actual layout. Obviously the screen. Secondly, the record button's now on the top rather than the side. So they went from the side, and then on the 7 III it was like here on the back. But I think it makes a lot more sense to being on the top by the actual shutter button as well. They've also added in another preset, number 3, so you can change your settings. This only had 1 and 2. And the biggest change is there's actually a dual memory card slot now. So it takes 2 SD cards. These have to be high-speed SD cards to shoot in like the high frame rates. They also have another 2 slots. So there's actually 4 slots for CF Express A type cards. So that's like a new, faster than SD card CF card. So that's for shooting like the highest bit rate, 4K 120, and some of the other settings. I've only been shooting on the fast SD cards right now, but yeah, this is again brilliant. So much space for storage. In the side here, there's all these separate doors for accessing the ports, and one of the exciting things is there's a full-size HDMI port on the side, which means you can get faster speeds, faster bit rates, basically better quality output if you're recording externally. I don't know all of the information, but I can link stuff below. I don't really do any external recording, but apparently a lot of the pro filmers have been asking for this feature rather than the micro HDMI, so that's another amazing feature. Sony did tell me that this camera can be used as an external webcam without needing like a video kind of interface. Like I actually do use my Sony camera, but I have to run it through like a little video interface. But this can go straight from USB-C to the USB-C, and you can use it as a webcam. And moving on to the menu system, this is a whole new design. So under the menu system, they've completely changed the interface. This feels a lot more user-friendly. It's all color-coded, and instead of going vertically down, you actually go across to select all the settings. So you can go through and change all the formats. And one of the other kind of hidden settings that I really love is if you're shooting a lot of footage, often throughout the week, I'll be basically duplicating file names because I'm shooting so much that it like shoots like 999 clips or photos, and then it goes back to C001. So on this camera, you can actually set to add the date to the file name, which means each file is completely uniquely named. And when I've done like jobs with other editors and we're like working on the same files and then importing things in, often like it just gets confusing. Some files get pulled in wrong. This time I don't have to rename files when I put them on the computer. So that's just another thing that's just makes my workflow a lot easier. Another thing a lot of filmmakers have been complaining about is the rolling shutter on a lot of the Sony mirrorless cameras. They have done an amazing job at improving that. It's minimized rolling shutter now, and I think that's something to do with like apparently the processor is 8 times more powerful than the a7s II, which makes sense because it's obviously having to process much higher bitrate footage, higher resolution, higher frame rate, and I think as well because of that and just the upgrading technology, it minimizes rolling shutter. There's a ton of other things it's doing, like basically everything's being improved on the camera. And yeah, I really don't have a lot of negative things to say about this. I'll try and nitpick just to be fair. This has crashed on me a few times. Sony have told me that's definitely the firmware and that won't be an issue moving forward, which I kind of get. This is like a prototype. This hasn't been released yet, and the firmware is going to be updated and stuff. So all I had to do was just eject the battery and restart it and it's fine. But yeah, it's crashed a few times on me today. I also had some issues importing some of the footage into Premiere at the higher frame rates and some of the settings you can shoot, and it records at H.265, which is a much more efficient codec, but it's a little bit harder for some software. So I think that's more of an Adobe Premiere issue because apparently it works fine on Final Cut. So I'm just going to figure all of that out. I was a little bit annoyed I couldn't preview files in Finder on the Mac, but again, I think these issues are all going to be sorted. So it's more of a software update issue. It's going to be a little bit of getting used to just switching the record button position, but over time, I think that's a better position for it. The screen as well, something I used to shoot a lot with the a7s II was just pulling the screen out like this, and I can shoot from above and kind of move the screen up and down. It's a little bit more effort now. If I want to do that with this, I can't pull it out whilst it's kind of in its closed position. So I have to, you know, flip it out, spin it around, and then spin it like that. But honestly, that's just takes a tiny bit longer. It's a little bit more unprotected when the screen's poking out if you were to fall, or, you know, I'm running around. A lot of this footage we've shot for this video is just like high speed. We're like going down the road on the boosted board, we're running around, but you know, just be more careful when you've got the screen out. I love the screen. I think it's a game changer. What else could I complain about? Photography is definitely a second feature on the a7s II. Obviously, it's not a very high megapixel camera. It's going to be great for low light photography. It's got I think a burst like 10 frames a second. Yeah, check this out. It's pretty good. You can also do silent shooting mode on this as well. And then finally, Sony have told me that this is going to be retailing for $3,500, and I think that's a great price for what it is. It is a beast of a camera. Like, it is honestly not just a good consumer camera for vlogging and stuff. This is a beast of a camera for high-end pro filmmaking. This competes with a lot of the cinema cameras and other cameras that I've tried to use, and it's so compact for what it gives you. This is like, yeah, this is a game changer for filmmakers. If you have been waiting as long as I have for this, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. They're looking to ship mid-September, and I'm definitely getting one. And I would recommend, if you are into filmmaking, you can afford this budget, and you're excited by these features I talked about today, go for it. I highly recommend. Pre-order now. You won't be disappointed. If there's any other things I didn't touch on, guys, and you want to know, please comment below. I'll try and find out. I can get the inside scoop from Sony. And if there are any issues that come up whilst I'm filming with this more, I'm going to let you guys know everything. The more I play around with it, the more I make this my daily shooter, I will update you and keep you posted. But honestly, this over the last couple of days has made me fall in love with filming again. I think I've shot some of the best clips of my life over the last couple of days. I hope you've enjoyed all the cinematics. Guys, thanks for watching. I'm not just doing camera review videos on this channel. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I'm making a ton of other amazing videos. I've got a ton of series coming up. I'm doing my best in lockdown to be able to still make videos for you. But yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, this has made me fall in love with filmmaking again. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.